Studs, stems, and butch lesbians upset about men approaching them. That's the title of my video today. I was watching some content by women who identify as lesbians, and there are certain titles that are given to them or how they describe themselves based upon their mannerisms or their physical appearance as lesbians. And these labels or these titles are stud, stem, or butch. And these are referring to women who are either tomboyish or androgynous, or they have a more masculine presentation. And these women identify as lesbians. They are very annoyed and upset about men approaching them for sex, or the men are always eager to tell these women, quote unquote, you know you're not a man, right? You're a woman, end quote. I wanted to address this because I identify as a lesbian, but I am a feminine presenting lesbian woman. However, I still have empathy and compassion for all women who love women, regardless of how they present themselves physically, whether it's feminine presenting or masculine presenting. And I understand their frustration, even though my experience as a feminine lesbian may be different from a more masculine presenting lesbian. I still care about their experiences as lesbian women. And these men are very disrespectful towards women who love women. And they are very inconsiderate. Many men are very inconsiderate of lesbian women. I was watching some content about studs, stems, or butch women who are masculine presenting and they're lesbians. But I've also learned from women who are lesbian that are masculine presenting as a life coach about their experiences. And I'll address a couple of the scenarios that I've already mentioned. I mentioned that these lesbian women who are masculine presenting or tomboyish presenting or androgynous, they're very upset. They're very annoyed. They feel violated and disrespected by men who approach them for sex, and or they feel the need to tell these women or remind them that they are not men. My name is Giselle Wallace, lesbian life coach and author. I do provide content here on my YouTube channel from a lesbian perspective. I also provide content and information about the LGBTQ plus community and living in our authenticity. If this interests you, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you. just to first, the first example where these men are approaching these lesbian identified women who are stems, studs, or bitch women. These are labels that are given to more masculine or tomboyish women. And these women make it very clear to these men that they are not interested in them in any type of way sexually. And yet these men refuse to accept what these women tell them. And this becomes harassment. It's a serious issue. And I actually saw, there's this YouTube video. He's not anyone that I know particularly, but he was a man, and he did a video, and he was addressing studs and butch lesbian women. And he said that you're not really gay. And I listened to the video, and he went on to talk about how women have vaginas. And he said that these women walking around like men and acting all hard and having a deep voice, and some of them are sagging their pants, and some of them are hanging around other guys, and they just think they're men. And he said, y'all need to be reminded that y'all are women. And he said in the video, at the end of the day, you have a vagina, and you can't deny the fact that you still want to have sex with a man. And he also mentioned in the video that anytime that he meets a stud or a butch lesbian woman, usually they will do like a handshake, like a dab, or like more of a masculine handshake that men usually engage in. He said whenever a stud or a butch lesbian woman does that to him, he said he refuses to give them dabs or a manly handshake. He said he'll pull the woman in and give her a big old hug. And I was really just flabbergasted at how comfortable he was about his views of lesbian identified women who are tomboyish or masculine presenting. He basically completely, utterly disregards lesbian identified women who are studs or stems or butch women. He doesn't value their sexual orientation. He does not acknowledge their sexual orientation. And he thinks that if he is hugging these women who are masculine or tomboyish presenting, somehow he's reminding these women that they're still women and that they also still want a man sexually and romantically. It was very repulsive. And this is what you call lesbian erasure. Women who identify as lesbians are overlooked, they are omitted, and they are denied as being lesbian women. This is an ongoing daily issue that lesbian women experience. My heart goes out to all lesbian women and all women who love women who experience lesbian erasure or who experience bisexual erasure, because it affects us in more ways than one. However, this creates a lot of dissension and separation between heterosexual people and homosexual people, because most heterosexual people always like to think that they are right, and they always conclude that there is only one sexual orientation, which is heterosexuality. And this is false. It is a misconception that permeates this heteronormative society that we live in. Women who identify as lesbians, although that they may be masculine presenting, that does not mean that they want to be with a man in a romantic and sexual manner. And it's utterly disrespectful and inconsiderate for men to be aggressive and continue to approach women. This is actually forcing yourself on a woman. It's sexual harassment. And women absolutely should not have to experience this at all. And when that guy mentioned, he's on YouTube, and he said that he will grab the woman who has a tomboyish or stud appearance, instead of giving her dabs or a masculine handshake, he said he will pull her into his body and give her a hug. And this is also what he said. He said every time he does this, the women get upset and they get mad and they get angry and they push him off. But he was laughing. He thought it was funny. He thinks it's funny. This is outrageous. Men do not respect women in their sexual orientation. They don't respect women's bodies. They don't respect our space. Secondly, women who identify as lesbians, who are masculine presenting in appearance, and they may label or title themselves as stud or stem or butch, they know that they're women. They never said that they are a man. But what they communicate with me, and what I've also observed on a lot of content, is that a lot of these women who are lesbians and are tomboyish or masculine presenting are constantly being bombarded and reminded by men that they are still a woman and not a man. Now, why does this happen? Well, I have a couple of thoughts about it. First, I believe that a lot of these men want to interrogate women. They want to, in a sense, make a woman feel inferior by letting her know that she can never be a man, that she's just a woman. And a lot of these men are feeling as though they're in competition with these women who are more masculine presenting. They feel like they're in competition with them because of two reasons. One, they want to be with the woman. They have a problem with the woman presenting herself in a masculine manner, and they confuse that as being she thinks she's a man. And then they look at that as a barricade, which is blocking them from being able to have sexual relations with these women because they think that they're men. This is the mindset of many of these men. And the second thought process I have about it is that these men do not understand sexual orientation. They do not understand that the way women represent themselves, whether they're lesbian or bisexual or pansexual, any woman who loves women, she is able to express herself how she pleases. And these men, many of these heterosexual men, do not understand that self-expression is displayed in many forms. It can be displayed the way you dress. It could be displayed by the way you wear your hair. A lot of women may wear their hair very low. They may have dreadlocks or twist or whatever styles that they decide to wear. And a lot of these men equate that to being masculine, to being hairstyles or clothing that are only for men. And that makes them believe that these women think that they are men. But really all it is self-expression. It's how their energy is. We all have masculine and feminine energy, and we all have the freedom and the right to express ourselves physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, how we desire to. And no man has the right to tell a woman that she needs to dress like a woman, or wear her hair like a woman, or act like a woman. I really have a deep concern about women who identify as lesbian and all women who love women. And this particular video is to address the more masculine presenting women who either title themselves as stud or stem or butch. I see you, I hear you, and I am sorry about the lesbian erasure that you experience. But I want you to know that you can always be yourself. And you know who you are. You don't need to be reminded about who you are. And you do not need to be harassed by men who do not respect you and do not respect that there are other sexual orientations that exist in this world. And men who do not respect women always want to control women. And sometimes you have to take matters in your own hands, but sometimes you have to also take legal action.